Is it the beginning of the end of the city that is known as India's Silicon Valley? I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Our focus today is on the controversial announcement by the Siddaramaiah government in Karnataka that its state cabinet has approved a legislation that will now focus on reservations, quotas in the private sector in both managerial and non-managerial roles. This new policy that still has to be placed before the state assembly and seek its approval may not be legally tenable. The court has held attempts by other states to do a similar exercise in the past. But for now, the Siddaramaiah government seems to be going ahead full steam, despite doyens of the IT and software industry in Karnataka calling for either its scrapping or changes to this policy. The policy seeks to reserve anywhere between 50% to 75% jobs in the private sector for locals. And if those vacancies can't be filled with skilled personnel, it seeks special training and a guarantee that those openings will be filled within a specified duration of time. The government has argued that this is what the private sector has to do to compensate land acquisition that has been taken away from local, often poor residents of Karnataka. There's a huge row over this. The apex body NASSCOM has already asked for this law that effectively interferes in how the private sector hires and also encourages linguistic parochialism be scrapped. To discuss this and whether the Siddaramaiah government will go ahead, Mr. Siddaramaiah has deleted a tweet on 100% priority for locals. So what's actually going on in his head, we do not know. Let's introduce our guest on the program today. Joining us from the Congress is Nizam Foujdar. Let's welcome him to the program. Welcome. We're also joined by a member of a citizens, prominent Bangalore citizens group, Mithilesh Kumar. Welcome to the program. Sumanth, Raman, political analyst, is joining us. And we're also joined from the BJP by its leader and a spokesperson, Surabhi Hodigere. Welcome, everybody. Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate, should be with us in a moment from now. Let me start by getting first reactions. Nizam Foujdar, I'll start with you. What's the logic? The Congress, on the one hand, has made arguments in opposition to the BJP that you're open, you're inclusive, you don't believe in narrow identity politics. This is as narrow as it gets. You know, NASSCOM has just released a report saying a quarter of the country's digital talent is actually in Bangalore. This is going to sound the death knell of Bangalore as India's Silicon Valley capital.
No,
What's the
I don't
logic?
think so. We have the logic is very simple. We have about the maximum number of the colleges which are taking care of the engineering education and various technical education. The amount of infrastructure that is there in Bangalore and in Karnataka, I think it's nearly the highest. So in that regard, we are basically protecting the rights of the local population. Now, the Karnataka has always been a what do you say, employment excessive state. That's one of the reasons why people from the various states, migrate into the Karnataka, and then they basically lead and settle down here. The idea is basically to give the first right to the locals, and I don't think so. It is anything wrong with that. If we say why not the locals, then what's wrong with that? The question is, how do we give the employment and the first right to the locals? And I think that's all about it. I don't think so. We need to create a hue and cry about it because the
50%,
number of
50%, 50% and 75% is not small numbers. You are not arguing that local community. See, I can see the logic if the argument was I can see the logic if the argument, Nizam, was somebody's phone is on. Could you please put it on silent? One of you has your phone on. It's distracting me from my chain of thought. Nizam, I could see the argument if local communities were being pushed out entirely out of employment opportunities. But if you look at the numbers, 50% in managerial, up to, near about 70% to 75% in non-managerial, these are large numbers. You're basically interfering in the right of a private company on how to run its business, A, to not necessarily get the best most skilled talent, B. C, you're changing the reputation of Bengaluru as a cosmopolitan city with its doors open to everybody. And 4, it's not legally tenable. Haryana has tried this before and the Supreme Court has said no. So are you just fooling people when you say you're going to do this?
no, let's look at this way. When a state is prospering, everybody would want to join in there. And that's the first sign that, when you are opposing any law that comes from the local government, when you oppose, it basically means that there are a certain factions, there are other, sects of people from the other states who want to walk in and basically get employed and work here. The simple argument is that when we have fair enough and fair amount of technical people within the state, I think it's a fair deal. It's the same thing can be taken care by the Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Delhi, and so on and so forth. The question is, when these states have not taken care of the development of their own states, from the infrastructure of education and from a ease of doing and a business ecosystem that they could have created, they have not done. So now when you say that, Karnataka is being very harsh on every other people within the country, I think it's a wrong saying against the state that has
Okay.
always invited people from every corner of the country as well as now the world to come here, settle down, work, and then prosper. And that will continue. There will be no change in that. What we are only saying is that the first right of job should be with the Kannadigas. And I think it's a fair deal. It's just not Kannadigas. There are people who have been set, from various linguistic and demographic people who are in Karnataka, right? They have the first choice. The locals means the demographics have to be from here.
Okay, Surabhi, the BJP is in an awkward position because if it opposes this legislation, it looks like it's against the local residents of Karnataka. If it welcomes it, then it's allowing the Congress to walk away with the agenda. Where does the party stand?
Thanks for that, Barkha. I do believe that the BJP's submission in this case is that, first and foremost, we are firmly with the Kannadiga people and their right to have local employment. Having said that, this bill that the Congress party has proposed in the cabinet has not reached the Legislative Assembly. We are yet to review the draft and make sure that the certain provisions are in place. This is not the first time. There has been such submissions prior in our government as well. But the difference is the difference in approach. The approach that we had was one that was of consensus building, where we spoke to industry bodies, where we spoke about incentivizing versus penalizing. I think that's a clear distinction in how the Congress right now has come up with this cabinet proposal, which has created so much confusion in the industry, so much panic and then knee-jerk reactions from its cabinet ministers. The second thing that I'd like to say, and this might seem a little silly, but bear with me. The truth of the matter is that the Karnataka government has not had a very good few weeks. They have been embroiled in a lot of scams. The chief minister himself has been, embroiled in certain scams. So we have seen this pattern in the past, where every time there is some antagonism against the sitting government, they come up with these knee-jerk reactions, push these ill-thought-of sort of ways in which they presume is going to help the local population and run away without having, and that's the deletion of the tweet by the minister.
And yeah.
Statements made by different ministers saying that after the reaction from the industry body saying that, no, we'll do consensus now on. Why did you not sit down and have that consensus building thing before? Industries are as important as providing employment, especially to Kannadigas. If there is no industry, how are you going to provide employment? We are seeing a Congress government that is being antagonistic towards industry. We have lost at least 10 to 8 companies, Foxconn and Athar being some big names that have gone and invested outside of Karnataka. So the question here is, are they taking a comprehensive approach? Are they really intent on helping local population?
Okay.
When they
I think you do make the interesting point that the chief minister deleted his tweet where he was actually talking about 100% quotas in some categories of jobs in the private sector. But you have not answered my question. Please do so briefly. Does the BJP support this proposal as a principle? Yes or no?
Yes, the BJP supports the fact that Kannadigas have right to local employment, and that is a larger issue that we have also been very vocal about. But having said that, we do not, let me caveat that with, we do not antagonize industry in order to do so. Without industry, there is no employment.
Okay, so this is that rare occasion when the BJP and the Congress, at least on the principle of locals first, is on the same page. The BJP is questioning the style or the approach but not the principle of jobs for locals first. Let me get Mithilesh as a resident, as a volunteer, as a active member of a citizens' right group to speak. Do you welcome this? Do you oppose it? Do you think there's a middle ground possible?
So according to us as a group, it's not practical and not feasible decision, and it's mostly political decision. And why we see it as a diversion tactics, a diversion from the core issue. So from past 15 months, we as a citizen group have been raising different issues related to your simple road repair, and then potholes, and lot of issues that we have raised. In fact, we have raised the issue like from last 42 days. We are demanding each day we are writing a letter to chief minister to conduct bbmp election because it's due from last 4 years. So what we think that these are all divergent tactics to diverge from the core issues that is plaguing Bangalore, and we are losing our core age, that's a hotbed for tech, and where technocrats can live peacefully and drive peacefully to workplace and can have better roads, better infrastructure, that we are lagging behind, far behind from other cities. So our point is that it's just a political statement, political sloganeering. At the end we won't get anything. What we lose the developmental core issues that we as a citizen group raising from many years.
Okay, so instead of talking about potholes, infrastructure, and issues that really impact daily lives, you believe that this is a diversion. Before I get Sumanth, Sanjay, what's the legal position? We have a precedent here. Haryana tried to do the same. It didn't go through the court. So is this a lot of, is this a storm in a teacup? Is this a lot of noise, as Mithilesh says, that we change the headlines just for a bit? But there's a clear a backstory here, which shows to us that this is unconstitutional in the mind of the court.
Well, the backstory is simply this, that there are some states which provide jobs and there are other states which do not. So when people migrate from one state in India to another for employment, there is a certain amount of resentment, and that is what the local government, which then tries to address itself to state interests, says that, okay, we'll do this, knowing possibly fully well that the courts will strike it down. As you correctly said, the Punjab and Haryana High Court at Chandigarh, Justice Sandawalia struck down the Haryana provision, and the matter has gone to the Supreme Court, where it is being examined. So it may well be that if this measure is passed through the assembly, notified, challenged in the courts, the court might either stay it or later, if it strikes it down, the matter can join the Haryana matter in court.
So
don't
I
know
have
what
two
the
le- I have
motive
two
would have.
legal I have two legal questions for you before we
Yes.
come to the politics. As I see it, there are two legal questions here that interfere with the right to equality. One is that in the eyes of the law, every Indian citizen has the same right, and unless there are protected areas, that right remains uniform across the country. So that is one question. The other is that the state, to what extent can the state tell the private sector how to manage its businesses?
Well, the state often deals with the private sector. So in the US, there have been instances where the state has said that we will support those businesses which in turn indulge in affirmative action. That's the kind of thing that the BJP spokesperson was talking about. But to say that you will select from one pool and not the other, that may run afoul of the Constitution. The Constitution provides equality of opportunity to all, irrespective of place of birth. Now, there is an argument there to be made that we are not discriminating on place of birth, we are discriminating on residence. That if you have been in Karnataka for a long enough time, you are a Karnataka resident and therefore entitled to the quota. So that way is a matter of definition as to how you define somebody who's a local in Karnataka. I mean, in Bangalore is full of locals who from 3 generations or 4 generations have been there but don't speak one word of Kannada. And
Yeah.
that has led to its own resentments. But
Yeah.
how do
So,
you define a local? That's a very important question.
do you in principle support or oppose this legislation?
I do not support it because, after all, Karnataka has benefited from so many people being there, and we are now poised to be a microcosm of India, as Bombay was in the old days. So,
Yeah.
given that, and we are a country which is integrating into one common market, so I don't think these narrow domestic walls can long stand.
Sumanth, you've made the argument that the advantage will be to other states. Hyderabad has long been in competition to Bengaluru. If this legislation goes through, we don't know if it's actually tenable. Let's assume that this is actually passed in the assembly because the BJP is supporting this in principle. It may demand a few changes, but in principle, it's in support. There doesn't seem to be any major political way to stop it. There probably is only a legal way to stop it. But if it goes through, what happens?
There are two things, Barkha. One, it going through and actually being implemented, or it goes through and it just remains on paper. Now, some of these provisions are completely, absurd. That there will be a government officer who will monitor the employee strength in each office and all that. Look, take the IT sector. I mean, thousands, not thousands, lakhs and lakhs of employees in Bangalore are those who have come from different states of India. They've come not just from Tamil Nadu or the south. They've come from NCR. They've come from Maharashtra, everywhere. Now, what do you do with these people? They have not spent 15 years in Maharashtra. They do not know Kannada. You want them to know reading and writing. You don't want them to speak Kannada. That alone is not enough. They should be able to read and write Kannada, which means that they have to pass an exam. How insane is this? Now, if you're going to do this, for an IT company, having been in that sector, I can tell you it will take, in today's world, exactly 2 months to shift out of Karnataka. A company which employs maybe 5,000 or 10,000 people can shift its entire operations to another state in a matter of weeks or months. Second, very, very importantly, there are ways around this. Now, let's say employees are working out of home. An office, the company is registered in Karnataka. The registration can be done in some other state.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah. There are hundreds of ways around it. So again, it comes back to the point: are they just doing it as a political gimmick or a stunt or a diversion? In which case, it's fine. All political parties do such, insane things.
But please note that there is no fundamental difference in approach between the two principal parties in Karnataka on this.
Yeah, they have to play to the gallery, right? I mean, they have to play to this Kannada lobby. We see the same thing, in this Kaveri water dispute. We've been seeing it for the last 50 years. So the BJP in Karnataka is on the side of Karnataka. The BJP in Tamil Nadu is on the side of Tamil Nadu. And likewise for the Congress in each of these states. And which side is the high command? The high command will not open its mouth on either side. So this is the same drama that has been enacted for the past 50 years. Now they are going to play this drama on this job reservation for locals. Mark my words, Barkha. If and I feel that there is probably a 0% chance of this being implemented. If it is implemented, it will wreck the economy of Bangalore, and Bangalore is the engine of Karnataka. I mean, Karnataka is not a state like some of the other states where there are 3 or 4 or 5 large hubs equally contributing to the economy.
Let me
wreck the economy.
Let me actually read out some numbers. I know, Surabhi, you want to come in, but I just want to read out some numbers here. This is in the NASSCOM statement, okay? The NASSCOM statement says that the information technology sector contributes 25% of Karnataka's GDP. It houses a quarter of the country's digital talent. NASSCOM says restrictions could force companies to relocate as local skilled talent becomes scarce. According to the state government, Bengaluru itself contributes 43.86% to Karnataka's economy, and Karnataka in turn contributes 7% of the national GDP. So this speaks to the point that Sumanth was making. Before the politicians come in and we come back to Sanjay Mithilesh, as a citizen, I want to ask you something. I think Sumanth made this brilliant point about work from home. And one of our members is in the audience stream, Saraswati Iyer, says anyway artificial intelligence will now be the deciding factor. Keep learning, it's going to be a survival of the fittest. On the one hand, you're talking about AI, you're talking about being able to, at least in some jobs, particularly the software technology sort of space, you can work from home. I can be working for a Karnataka company from Delhi. How are you going to force me to learn Kannada? And if I'm the best person for the job, why should that company give up that space to somebody else? Mithilesh?
Yes, so you have the fair point, and actually, I also work in a prominent IT company in Bangalore, and yeah, so I've been there for
And
more
you
than
and you
15 years.
and hang on, do you consider yourself a local in
Uh,
quotes?
so partially local and partially outsider. So it's a mix of both. So at
Okay.
the end of the day, I'm proud Indian. Yeah, I have learned Kannada, but that's a different aspect. But coming to the point, my point is that in IT industry, right? I was working in different state, and I was pulled in by one of the prominent IT company. Based on the interview, multiple people were there, and I was selected because I was better. So how you justify this? Suppose for particular given role, I work in a AI space where talent is very rare. So in that case, how will you find the local talent? So again, I'll come to our fundamental point. It's a political decision, and it's not practical and it's not feasible. So while I was on live on this show, there was twice
Yeah.
a power fluctuation. So every hour there is 4 to 5 times power fluctuation. Even I have a backup at my home. It takes 15 seconds to come back live.
Yeah.
This has changed due to the policies of the current government, and I'm not against or for any political party. We support both on issue basis, but this power issue and the infrastructure issue that we are fighting for a small road on outer ring road or any IT area,
Yeah.
it's very critical, and sorry to say that
I want to pick
it's a very bad in entire India. I'll suggest, I'll request honorable member from the governing party to please look into the core issues, that are civic
Okay,
issues
I want to pick
that's
up.
plaguing
I want
Bangalore.
to pick up
Yeah.
two. I want to pick up. I want to pick up 2 points you made. One, you made the point about the electricity that went and came back while you were on the show live. You made the point about potholes. You made the point about road repairs. But you also said I'm partially local. I'm partially an outsider. Now, Surabhi first, and then Nizam, and then we'll come back to Sanjay. That is how many people are in many places. We are in Delhi. Delhi was built as a city of refugees. So much of Delhi has residential colonies to those who during partition had to give up everything that they owned on the other side of the border, what is now Pakistan, and come here with nothing. But I am from one such family, but I'm a proud Dilli Wali. But above all, I'm a proud Indian, just like Mithilesh. Now, why are we trying to break those identities? We're a khichdi. We're a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's lovely. It's what makes us unique. It's what makes our cities magical. What are we trying to change here?
I think that's the core of the question, Barkha, which is when you're in Delhi and you hear an auto wala speaking in Delhi in Hindi, and that conversation goes on. There's just some familiarity there. What does language ensure for? It ensures for some familiarity, some belonging, and I don't think that there are right and wrong, strict right and wrongs in this conversation. This land has allowed us to have multiple identities, multiple faiths, multiple languages throughout. But I think that the cry that you're hearing from Bengaluru, and which you have heard, of course, before from Mumbai and other cities also, is that when we become a little too cosmopolitan, somewhere we realize, what about my language? I'd like to hold on to it. Whether these government policies, whether these sort of, as I said before, this punitive sort of action is going to actually solve the problem, I don't believe so. I'll speak for a minute as a Kannadiga, as a young girl who had an organization called Kannada on Campus, helping my co-students from other states learn Kannada. There is some, this cry that the Kannadigas are making is not do not take it as just shallow. There is some loss of identity that we hope to share with everybody else also. Having said that, I would like to sort of instate the point that I've been making, which is that the Congress government's method of doing this has been very suspicious. Just now, there has been a tweet from Mr. Priyank Karge, the Minister of ITBT here in Karnataka, saying that we've already always taken ministry along and we will do so in this. The question comes across is, why did you do this in such a rushed manner? If you are always going to take industry along, industry has a point. They have very valid points. Why did you not sit across the table with them? Which all draws us to the point that this was never intended to be a solution. This was never intended to be a well thought out policy. It was a means to distract from the fact that what Mithilesh spoke about. Bengaluru has not seen one road development in the last 15 months because there is no money for development. Says the
Okay. Let me put that to Nizam in just a moment. But to Sanjay, I want to try and argue this from the other side for just a moment. While we are all for sort of the inclusive, heterogeneous diversity that makes our country what it is, the argument is being made by both the Congress and the BJP. And in the draft legislation, there is a reference to acquisition of land by private companies, big acquisition of land, local communities somewhat pushed out. Two, we do see a certain kind of homogenized, I don't want to say Hindi, I would say westernized culture, the mall culture, the malls coming and flattening sort of the richness or the diversity of subcultures of India. Is it so wrong? As Surabhi asks, I can speak in Hindi to an auto wala in Delhi. I can speak in Punjabi to an auto wala in Chandigarh. But for people to expect their own language also to be predominant in their home state, is that wrong? Is it wrong to say, okay, let us have a little bit of our roots here? I don't know that it should translate into 50% and 70%, quotas. But I think as a point of cultural resentment, there might be some legitimacy in it.
Well, as somebody who has a nodding acquaintance with about 7 or 8 languages, I can tell you that nothing binds a person more than the ability to speak a language. In the Supreme Court, we have judges who speak a lot of languages. And sometimes part of my advocacy is to slip into their language, if I know it. I don't think it's particularly wrong, and I've seen a similar situation happen in Bombay as well. Bombay became Mumbai, and it was the anti-Gujarati feeling which split the erstwhile state of Bombay into Maharashtra and Gujarat. So yes, if you ignore the local language, or worse, you make it feel like a subaltern or a slave language, saying that now we dominate here, we own this place, then you will definitely have resentment. So I was quite interested in asking my co-panelist with the flickering light, Kannada bartada, eshtu bartade, or do you reserve it only for auto drivers and your maid servants?
Before Mithilesh answers, can you explain what you asked him for our audience?
I asked him, do you speak Kannada? And how much do you speak?
Mithilesh?
Have you seen a Kannada film, for instance?
Mithilesh, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I have seen multiple Kannada films, but with subtitles, and because it's hard to catch the fast-moving language. But obviously, I swalpa bartala I can speak Kannada, and recently I started the script lesson from Kannada Prasad Parishad, and yeah, I'm halfway to the mark, and I'll be able to read.
Where are you? Which is your home state? Otherwise,
it's Delhi.
Okay.
Sanjay? Just 1 minute. One more confession. While I can speak Kannada, I can't read or write the language. So
it's like me and Punjabi. It's like me and Punjabi. I can't read the Gurmukhi script. I can speak the language. This happens.
It happens.
So what did Mithilesh's answer tell you? By the way, you asked him a question. What did it tell you?
Mithilesh's answer told me that he was not somebody who reserved it only for the autowala, or who tried to speak it in a tone of command. It is one more experience, yet all language is an arc where through gleams that untraveled world whose margin forever fades as I move.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you
Okay,
speak a language, you learn a culture.
no, of course. But then can you police that? You see, that's the question. Sorry, Surabhi, I have to give Nizam a chance. Let me come to you after that and to Sumanth also. Nizam sir, please.
See, Barkha, the way Mr. Sanjay says and the way Mithilesh answered, if you come and actually live in Bangalore for about a week's time, you would understand the differences that is cropping up. You know, the basically the North Indian crowd basically says that Hindi national language है, आप हमसे बात करना है तो आप हिंदी सीख के बात करो. हम कन्नड़ नहीं आता है, ये कन्नड़ा भी नहीं बोलते हैं, कन्नड़ नहीं आता है, हमें हिंदी में बात करो, हम हिंदी नेशनल लैंग्वेज है. दैट रिजेंटमेंट ऑफ इवन acknowledging the local language seems to be a larger issue within the population across in Bangalore, basically Bangalore North. The various other parts of Karnataka does speak Hindi, Kannada, both languages. But the issue is, you know, that when you say I don't want to learn Kannada, I don't want to acknowledge the local culture, seems to become a bigger problem within the cosmopolitan. We have always been welcoming people from across the country. Like the kind of Hindi I speak, मुझे बहुत अच्छी हिंदी आती है, मैं उसमें बात करता हूँ, मैं बहुत सारे हिंदी डिबेट्स में जाता हूँ, लेकिन मैं कन्नड़ा भी आती है, मैं यहाँ से पढ़ा लिखा हूँ, यहाँ पे पैदा हुआ हूँ. The question, how do you get that balance within the ecosystem, is that what we are saying is we will not say that, you know, if you are a AI professional, you are a software coder, you are a, you know, project manager, you are a super aeronautical engineer. I'm not saying we want to take away your jobs. I think that this basic misunderstanding that we want to take everything away from the people, it's wrong. What we are saying
what will happen? But what will happen? While I agree with you on the diversity of language and you know the fact that Hindi should not be imposed on no language should be imposed. If Hindi should not be imposed, nor should any language. Now, let me read out another comment from Prasad. Barkha, let's not force people to speak any language. Look at Mumbai and Hyderabad. Mixed cosmopolitan languages emerged, which is fun as well as distinctive of the geographical culture. Let's allow that. Sumanth, do you want to just jump in there? That's a very interesting point.
One second.
Okay, okay. Go ahead.
Barkha, Bangalore is the only state. If you know any language from the country, you just know Assami, you can live here. If you know Hindi, you can live here. If you know only Tamil, you can live here. If you know Telugu, you can live here. You know only Malayalam, you can live here. You just need to know one language from this country to basically make a living and live in Bangalore. That's the kind of diversity that we have in Bangalore.
Okay,
and then if we cannot really blame the government here, we are only saying the first right. We're saying the first right.
See, I want people to read books, but they don't read books, they read Instagram. Can I pass a law saying you have to read books? It is like that. I understand the sentiment. I don't agree with the solution. If you see the difference, right? I will fight with every 20-year-old I know ki aapne last kitab kya padhi. But I can't pass a law saying you have to read a book. So there might be a basis of a sentiment, but you cannot police people into choices. However, Sumanth, you live in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu was born from a language movement, right? So when we talk about criticizing the linguistic, what we're now calling the linguistic chauvinism, the linguistic populism of Siddaramaiah, we're criticizing him. We're criticizing the BJP for rare, you know, in a rare instance, supporting the ruling party, in this case, the Congress. Tamil Nadu was born from a language, from the womb of a language movement.
Barkha, Tamil Nadu, ironically, yes. I mean, the language movement has been very strong. But you must remember that the Dravidian movement actually supported the British against they were against the idea of independence, and they were, you know, fervently huge supporters of the English language, which has actually served us extremely well in Tamil Nadu. And I can perhaps extend an open invitation to all those firms who want to relocate. Please come to Hosur, which is exactly, 25 kilometers from Electronic City, and set up shop. Hosur is still expanding rapidly.
But Sumanth, if they came and spoke Hindi there, it would not work, no?
No,
No,
people are speaking
honestly.
Hindi all over Tamil Nadu. Look, Barkha, the point really is that those days are over. And I am really shocked that the Congress government in Karnataka does not seem to realize that this is going back to the 1970s or 80s. You cannot force employment. Okay, let me ask you a question. Now, let's say somebody is employed in a particular job. He does not know to read or write Kannada. He writes the exam and he fails. So he gets fired. Now, what are we talking about? The man may be excellent at his job. His company is happy with him. Now, I mean, all of this has to be thought through. I think that this is, like I said, Barkha, I'm fairly confident that these are just games of which the politicians are playing, to show that they are, more pro Kannada than the other party and so on. I don't think they have any intention of
So
implementing.
basically, you think it'll amount to nothing. They will drag this till some court says not possible.
Yeah, and then
And
they will say that we tried so hard to get it implemented. Like
okay.
the Tamil Nadu, the government equivalent, I can share with you. They will pass resolutions banning NEET in the assembly, knowing that they have no power to ban NEET. So stuff like this is something which all political parties take up. It is to sort of and to keep the masses distracted, and then they're going on an assumption that the people are gullible and they will fall for it. And on the track
Okay.
record of what they've seen, people have fallen for it multiple times and continue to fall for it.
Okay, so Surabhi, and then last comment. Surabhi.
As Sumanth sir has said, this is a distraction. I completely agree with that. It's a distraction, and what is it a distraction from? Barkha, you've said this 3 times that in principle we are in agreement. The bill is yet to be completely thoroughly examined, and therefore while the principle of we need to ensure local culture, local language, and local people are protected, we will have a thorough study of the bill and get back with our comments. That's number one. Sumanth sir said that this is a distraction. This is a distraction not for the masses, sir. This is a distraction for the media. This is a distraction for Twitter. This is a distraction for the English-speaking people, because Sidramaiah government does not want it to come out that they are now struggling in the assembly. There is a scam of 187 crore that the chief minister has accepted on ground of the assembly. They don't want the fact that a site has been allocated in a wrong manner to the chief minister himself. The government is shaky. That is what they are distracting from. And I would request all of my friends everywhere on Twitter, elsewhere, to not get distracted by this. The second thing I want to say, Barkha, is just that in Bengaluru, we learn everything from Python to Java to, people come from Kerala. A lot of Malayalis now, by the way. Before there was a lot of Tamilians, and now we have North Indians as well. One more language is not going to mean that there is, a dearth of any sort of imposition. But again,
I think we all agree that
I come back to
out
the
of
point
this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm with you.
I am against the state telling anybody what to eat,
Absolutely.
how to dress, what language to speak. This has to be without state power. It has to flow organically from within society.
The problem that has happened in the last 2-3 years before the Congress came into power in their own election campaigns is that they have been using language as a divisive issue very clearly. The center versus state argument, this Kannadigas versus non-Kannadigas argument. This is Congress's ploy to distract people from the real issues, and this is also Congress's sort of folly that they don't want to address the real issues. If you were truly wanting to give Kannadigas a leg up, who is your Rajya Sabha MP from the Congress here? Ajay Makan. What Kannada does he speak? I'd like to know. We have sent a Rajya Sabha MP who doesn't speak Kannada, and the same government is telling us...
Fair question. I want Nizam to briefly respond on that point. Sumanth, I know you got a hand up. Just give me a second. Nizam should respond to that. Nizam?
Surabhi very sweetly is putting all the blame on Congress. I really appreciate that the way she's putting it so sweetly. But I would like to say that when the Karnataka government had 250,000, 2.5 lakh crores as the debt in Karnataka for the last 70 years, BJP government came and took another 3 lakh crores just in 3 years and siphoned out money, and now today they say we are bankrupt. And I think that's the biggest heinous crime that the BJP government did from 2019 till 2023. 3 lakh extra crores of debt that they put on the state. Now they're saying we don't have the money for the development, but let me tell you, out of 3 lakh 71,000 crores, 55
But
lakh,
you're not,
55,000 crores is just a
but you didn't
guarantee.
answer.
No, no, I'm
But
coming
you
back.
didn't
I'm
answer,
coming back.
Mr.
I'm coming.
Markan. Mr. Markan.
I'm coming.
Mr.
I'm coming.
Markan.
I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. You want me to pin down to Mr. Markan? I appreciate that. See, we are saying when Rajiv Chandrasekhar was nominated from Karnataka, that time he was a Kannadiga. He's a Malayali. This time he contested from Kerala against Mr. Shashi Tharoor and
That
lost.
is
And today
that
she's
is
telling
that
Ajay
is
Makhan, who is Nirmala
that is
Sitharaman, who is
why.
coming from Karnataka. कर्नाटका से तो निर्मला सीतारमन आते हैं क्या? उनको हिंदी भी नहीं आती, कन्नड़ा भी नहीं आता, लेकिन कन्नड़ा
Okay.
से राज्यसभा मेंबर
ये
बन जाती हैं. So sweetly,
I think.
so sweetly Surabhi is smiling again. देख, मैंने बोला, मैं अटक गई, मैं
अच्छा
फंस गई. But मैं ये
अच्छा
बोलना
ऐसा
चाहूंगा,
है. हाँ जी,
मैं
मैं
बोलना
बोलूँ
चाहूंगा, मैं ये
अब मैं कुछ बोलूँ. अब मुझे बोलने दीजिए. अब मुझे let me
हाँ,
speak now because everybody's wanting to come in. I want to in the meantime play a little video for you because this is the real issue in our country. Not only Mithilesh is fluctuating electricity. A job advertisement in Air India in Maharashtra. Look at what happens. Just for 30 seconds, let's turn our attention to this video. Can we take a look?
लेके जाओगे एयर इंडिया भर्ती एयर इंडिया भर्ती है एयर इंडिया में भर्ती चालू है बाप रे लेके जाएगा बाबा.
This is the desperation for jobs, right? Now, we are interfering at this point through punitive legislation with a functioning sector of a state, with a functioning economic sector of a state. I find it very disturbing because this is how desperate people are for jobs. Now, Sumanth, we'll start our last comment starting with you. Sumanth.
Barkha, I think I don't agree with Surabhi when she says that this is exclusively the people on Twitter and social media and so on. It is extremely easy to incite people on the basis of this particular issue. We've seen how during the Kaveri issue there's been so much of violence against people from Tamil Nadu on multiple occasions. So inciting people is the easiest job. And politicians in our country, sadly, are experts at inciting people to violence. So I refuse to sort of see that this is just something which industry and people on Twitter are talking about. This is something that on the ground will have resonance. The Congress government knows well that it is possible to grab votes by playing the Kannada card. They are not doing this without having done their homework.
But what vote? Both the assembly and the Lok Sabha elections are over. It's going to only hurt their economy if they proceed with this.
Yeah, see, the point is they obviously feel it's worth the risk. They feel that this could create a long-term vote bank for them.
Okay,
but it's
Surabhi, you want to come in? Surabhi, last thoughts? Surabhi.
The fact that the Congress party is doing this lip service and doesn't have a plan and action shows a lot. The fact that they are doing this only for political gains and not to really solve real issues says a lot about the type of administration and governance that they're running. The BJP here, Sumanth Raman talked about the Kaveri issue and about other issues. The BJP, whether it is in Karnataka or in Tamil Nadu, has spoken up about the Mekedatu issue in a very sobering way. We speak about nationalism and regionalism from a sobering way. We know how to balance these two things. This is the sort of politics that the BJP promotes, not the sort of politics that the Congress is currently doing, which is signaling out Kannadigas and non-Kannadigas and also antagonizing industry. We need industry on our side. We need consensus.
But what do you want done differently? You support the essence of it.
I would want incentives. I would want incentives. I would want the fact that there is a consultation with people who are coming elsewhere. I want this issue to be talked about more, but not punished for not speaking a particular language.
Okay, Mithilesh, again, I saw the Bijli fluctuated again at your place and you've already made that point. What would you like to say to the politicians of the BJP and the Congress this evening? Mithilesh ji.
Yes, so I'll just continue from my last thought. So as Sanjay sir asked, how fluent I am in Kannada. So basically, I tried 5 years back spoken, and I was speaking well, but I couldn't continue well. So I thought let's go by the basic when while kids do, my daughters do. So I started with the script practice. So I can show the copy where I'm doing the Kannada
Oh,
script practice. So I'm halfway through that, and obviously within 2 months I'll be able to do that, and it's a very relatable because I know Sanskrit pretty well. So it's
yeah.
the swara and Benjan, the alphabets are same. So if you try to relate with your mother tongue, it's pretty easy, and
But
you'll
you
never
did,
forget.
but you did this without any law, right? That's my point. You did
Yes,
this
no,
without
I
any
wanted to learn
law
language
on
because
quotas.
no, I like
Correct.
literature, right? And Kannada has such
Yeah.
a vast literature. I want to read those literature and be fluent in
Fair
that
enough.
language. I tried
Fair enough.
Telugu previously, right? So now to conclude, so I'll request from the both the party from BJP and Congress, please don't divide. Try to solve the real issue, the employment issue, and try to skill us and give incentive for skilling. Then
Well
let the
said.
country move in autopilot mode. Don't govern.
Don't interfere is what you mean. Do govern, but don't interfere at this level. Nizam, I have a question. Suppose tomorrow you or somebody in your family goes and lives in Maharashtra. And they say आपको यहाँ रहना है तो आपको ये करना पड़ेगा नहीं जो यहाँ पैदाइश हुए उनको नौकरी पहले मिलेगा but your whole life is there. This can happen in reverse. There can be a backlash to people going from Karnataka to work and live in other states. Have you thought about that?
No, I would put it this way. I think we are going extreme towards how the implementation of this law can happen. I'm just saying we have enough and surplus jobs in Karnataka. I think after employing all the people within Karnataka, we would still be able to give a lot of employment to the rest of the country. So I don't think so कि हम किसी को यहाँ से भगा देंगे just because he would not or she would not be able to speak
और
Kannada.
उनको
It
नौकरी नहीं
is
मिलेगा
so
उनको नौकरी नहीं
मिल
मिलेगा तो
जाएगा
क्या करेंगे
आप फिक्र मत करिए you can run your mojo stories from Karnataka and we will give you all the support and believe
thank
me
you
you will get the best talent just like Mr. Sanjay Hegde who comes from Karnataka. Look at the talent that he has. He is one man in the Supreme Court stands and he's the seriousness of the issue that he raises. That's the kind of talent that we have from Karnataka.
what seriousness he's talking about veg biryani all the time. What seriousness?
Where
Only
you ask him, he will treat you mutton biryani, but he may eat. You ask him, he may give you. He may give you mutton. He may give you mutton biryani, but he will eat the veg biryani. What do you say, sir?
I'll give Sanjay Hegde the last word. Of course, Sanjay, please do explain the joke I made about veg biryani and then carry on.
Well, I speak very seriously about veg biryani because you can speak of very many serious topics using that as a metaphor. We are a pluralistic nation. Everything combines together to become an incredible product, whether it is veg biryani or biryani with meat. We do not exclude anyone. Talking totally in the veg biryani metaphor, I would say that we should have a dish which everybody can enjoy and nobody feels that he has been discriminated against. So I think the best case was for the language Urdu. Somebody said that इश्क करना है तो उर्दू सीखिए और उर्दू सीखना है तो इश्क कीजिए.
So basically, you don't need an excuse, not even ishq, to learn a new language. We leave it there. I personally do agree with the cynics on this show who don't believe that this is going to see the light of day. It's going to cause a huge controversy in the interim, but I don't see it going through the courts. We have past examples for that. But we leave it there to Nizam, Surabhi, Sumanth, Mithilesh and Sanjay Hegde. Looking forward to more conversations on veg biryani as a metaphor, but also literally. And to our audience, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.